These are just people who are interested in government and and are aspiring to higher office, and happened by my house. And
If you're a Democrat and want to make it to the White House in Washington, D.C., you would be well advised to first visit this White House on Washington Street in Concord. It is the home of former state planner and state senator Mary Louise Hancock.
my father had a drugstore on the main street of Concord, right across from the State House. So there were politicians into my life always as they came into the drugstore from the legislature, and governors would come in, and senators, and the rest of the members of the Governor's Council. So I've always been familiar with politicians. Jimmy asked me down to his house.
Did you go?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. Jimmy asked me down to his house, so Irene Gallen and I went down and stayed with Rosalind and Jimmy, and I slept in the Lincoln bedroom, and across the hall, Irene stayed in the Queen's bedroom.
That must have been an experience.
It was a wonderful experience, and Amy's cat came and slept with me. And the next morning, we had breakfast with Mrs. Carter in the family dining room, and I told her that, and she said, "Oh, that cat just loves that Lincoln bed." So, anyway, here I am in the Lincoln bedroom, and I said, "Irene, I don't think I can sleep tonight." Well, I took a picture of everything. I think I took a picture of everything in the room. And I sat on the Lincoln bed and called everybody I knew and said, "Well, here I am in the White House sitting on the Lincoln bed." Doing a little bragging, I guess. Well, that was Bill Clinton. That's a picture of him taken. As you see, his hair is much darker. It was taken in 1988 when he was here trying to decide whether he should become a candidate in that '88 race. And ultimately, he decided that he would not, and gave a statement, I think I have it in the book here somewhere, that tells why he decided he would not. It was an interesting experiment. There were about 25 active Democrats, and we determined that with a great amount of candidates, what we would do is study each one of them. In that race, if you'll remember, there was Bruce Babbitt, Gary Hart, Paul Simon, Jesse Jackson, Dick Gephardt, Al Gore, Mike Dukakis, and Pat Schroeder.
What do they call them, the Seven Dwarfs then? Or?
They probably so. And so we took about 6 weeks and studied in depth the candidates, who they were, what positions they had taken, what their voting records were, what their platforms were, the reasons that we thought they might be electable. And 22 of that 25, when we got all through after the 6 weeks, decided they would support Al Gore. It's very difficult to accommodate the number of people that really want to be comfortable. There are limited numbers of chairs in which they can sit. A great many people sit on the floor, and as you say, they do splay out into the hall and into the dining room. One of the things that I was watching, particularly on one occasion, as we had a huge crowd, I have an antique lamp in the corner of the room that I thought, it's a glass-topped lamp, and I thought any minute the swaying camera of the television man was going to smash it, and I was not a bit happy about that. So that thereafter, I did make a rule that television cameras of that size were not to be allowed in the room.
In spite of such distractions, Mary Louise will no doubt continue to allow presidential aspirants into her living room. She will continue to serve them soft drinks, cookies, and Yankee courtesy, and she and her neighbors will continue to astutely probe those who seek to lead the country. The candidates won't all make it to that other White House, but at least for a moment on Washington Street in Concord, New Hampshire, they will believe they have a chance.
He calls me once in a while on the telephone. I was recently sitting at the kitchen table and with a friend of mine having coffee, and the telephone rang, and I answered, and I said to her, "Oh, it's the vice president calling." And she said, "Oh, sure it is." But sure enough, it was the vice president calling. It was very nice to talk with him, and my friend was very interested that I asked him if he had been in touch with his mother lately. I said, "Have you been you call your mother every week? Have you been in touch with your mother?" Because I'm after her to get in touch with her mother from time to time. And so she was intrigued that I would say that to the vice president.